I think we're headed down I think 2022. I mean, I'm saying this a week or two ago. I'm like, you guys, I hope you're ready for how insane it's going to be. You don't get it. Look, my segment I did at 4 p.m. was about how they're trying to disqualify Donald Trump so he can't run for office. They've been trying to disqualify him. And they're also, Mark Elias, a Democrat lawyer, says that he believes mid this year you're going to see disqualifications of Republicans running for office. They know they can't win against the Trump populists, the America First nationalists. So what they're going to do is they're going to use January 6th to claim Section 3 of the 14th Amendment was violated and then make it so that Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, and other populist Republicans will not have their names appear on the ballots and will be ineligible to hold office. This is the direction things are going. That is insane. We're going to see smear campaigns. The harassment is going to be intense. It's January 7th today, and we're here talking about the aftermath of us getting swatted.
Seriously.
2022 is going to be nuts. 2018 was the Democrats being like, okay, we're gonna take back the House. And they did, and we all complained, and we're like, wow, I guess we didn't see that coming. Then 2019, you get the presidential primaries. 2020 was really nuts. 2020 was insane. The rioting, the 100-day sieges on cities.
It was probably the craziest year of my life.
Yes, it was.
Easily. Yeah.
And then 2021, everyone's kind of burned out. There's no big elections. Now we're getting into 2022, which is Republicans have a real chance to take back the House and the Senate and displace the establishment's authority because Trump controls the Republican Party. You got people like Ted Cruz that would love to pull it back to establishment. They can't do it as much as they try and pretend they're not. This is where they're going to pull out all the stops. If you think that the shadow campaign to fortify the election was bad, take a look at them overtly tweeting, we will straight up just say your politician can't be in office. They will literally just decree that. So that's beyond elections. Yeah. This is civil war.
But this is a sign of panic on their end. I mean, this is a tell, right? So is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. It's a good question. It may be that they're so desperate, they know they're going to lose, that the only thing they have left in their arsenal is overt cheating. And what I mean by that is using political lawfare, to disqualify your opponent instead of actually running against them.
Right.
That may be a positive, a good news that if people go out and vote in the primaries and primary these neocon and establishment Republicans, get in some America First populists who are just there for the working class, want to bring factories back and secure our borders, they'll probably win. And that, I think, is why they're going so hard against anybody who opposes the machine, because the traditional methods aren't working for them anymore. People are breaking through the lies. The narrative isn't working.
Well, there's a lot of things at play here, specifically with COVID and especially with what happened in South Africa, with many medical professionals saying that this is going to happen here in the United States and that soon we might be experiencing the end of this pandemic. And historically speaking, Newsweek actually talked about this yesterday. They talked about how at the end of pandemics throughout human history, usually this leads to a lot of civil unrest. Right. So I think this is also a big possibility. It routinely does happen. It historically does happen, but also financially. There's a lot of things happening that people are still not aware of. Usually economic trends take a long time to kind of surface and really affect people. They're not imminent. They usually take months to fully affect individuals. So I think we're going to be feeling the full ramification of hyper money printing. So there's a lot of things at play here that create a lot of instability. And with all of this instability, I think it's very fair to say that we're in for a rough ride, not just politically, not just with this larger divide and conquer agenda, the left versus the right, but there's a lot of other circumstances. I would say exigent circumstances that are leading to, of course, the probability of some major troubles ahead.
I'm going to get Luke a dictionary for his birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, like, whenever he has the word, we'll pull it up and be like, here you go.
No, he can write his own dictionary.
Actually, that's actually
I could make my own.
I want his own.
book.
I
like that idea.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That. Yeah,
thank you.
That's actually a really good idea. No, for real though. To make like a T-shirt with all of the words you've used.
Yeah, like Luke's words.
Exacerbate.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like one of those like where you got to circle the word in the big maze of letters.
Yes.
You gotta,
Word
find all of
search
Luke's words.
of Luke's
Find
words.
all of-
I
Or
love
like,
it.
what's the puzzle
What's
thing
he
where you have
thinking?
to circle like
A word search?
Yeah, word search.
Word
I
search.
think
Yeah.
yeah.
Make
Yeah.
a word search.
How did you guys
On
not
the
know what a
back of
word
your
search
shirt.
is?
They didn't know the word for word search.
Dude, I think in different ways than your average man. Hey, I've been looking at the crypto market. It is getting smeared. What you were saying was making me think about it, and I don't know how related it is, but it looks like there's a coordinated move to smear the market, drive the prices down.
No.
They're planning
It's
to do a
Kazakhstan,
huge
bro.
buy-up.
It's-
What do you think? What's happening?
So the civil unrest in Kazakhstan shut down a major mining operation.
Interesting.
So this caused huge price fluctuations and things like that.
And they might be using that as an excuse to drive the market down.
Well,
too.
no, I think people are going to exploit it, seeing it coming. But I think this is just all that, Kazakhstan, crypto, what's happening. Us getting swatted, what's happening with trying to disqualify Trump. The global system, whatever it is falling apart. So it's funny that you get someone like Alex Jones who mentions the globalists and their plan and all that stuff. And I'm like looking around the world and I'm like, maybe that plan ain't working. Whatever. I don't agree with Alex on a good majority of what he believes about the globalists, but it is a fact that there are global elites that work, that coordinate. Obviously, they do trade negotiations and deals and everything, and they have an idea of how the system is supposed to be working, but it's not.
No. But this is what I kind of want to add here, because this is order out of chaos. They create the chaos, and out of the chaos, out of the panic, out of the suffering, out of the fighting, they create a new system that people naturally go to because they already have it in play, and it's going to be their solution to the problems that they caused. That's how I personally see it. That's my opinion, especially understanding how they previously worked before, especially seeing their writings, especially seeing just how brazen they are with it, especially with the World Economic Forum and the documents that they release bragging about what they want to do. And if you think of a way of how are you going to usurp people's sovereignty? How are you going to take away their financial mobility? How are you going to subjugate them in almost every aspect of their existence? Well, you make their existence right now unbearable, so they come into your system begging to be under, of course, your new world order that they're conveniently building that works in their favor even more. So that's how I see it from my perspective.
What's really crazy is this conspiracy theory that Donald Trump wasn't supposed to win. And because he did, it forced the establishment to speed up their timeline.
Yes.
So basically, this is the conspiracy. I'm not saying it's true. Okay. I'm just saying this is, the conspiracy chatter. That Hillary was supposed to win in 2016, and they were supposed to slowly be pushing out a lot of these draconian policies over 4 years. Instead, Trump wins. They panic and don't know how to stop him because Trump was changing things back in favor of America, which was rewinding the clock on the establishment plan. So then finally in the last year, they had to do everything they wanted to do in a span in 4 years, but in like 6-7 months. So everything got crammed and everybody could see it happening because you could only move people so far, so fast. So then the idea is that now they're trying to get back on track with it, but too many people were shocked by this disruption in the system. If Hillary had won, and then they started doing look, in 2018 is when they changed the definition of anti-vaxxer to someone who opposes government mandates.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying these are what people are asserting as to why they believe the establishment had a plan for draconian lockdowns.
They very clearly wanted to sign the Trans-Pacific Partnership and get cheap oil out of Malaysia.
In Australia, if you give aid and comfort to people who don't like the mandates, you're deemed an anti-vaxxer according to the government officials in Australia that have decreed it. That's an absolute lunacy. They're changing definitions by the day. They're confusing people as much as they can, and they're trying to create a panic. They're trying to create a fight. They're trying to create something that, of course, will make us not realize what's really happening to the general public, because that's the only way they could get away with their bigger power grabs that they're conducting right now.
Yeah, the Trans-Pacific Partnership had a clause called the Investor State Dispute Settlement Clause that gave corporations like Malaysian corporations the power to sue the American government if the American people were discriminating, in quotes, against them by not buying their oil. So if we chose to opt out of Exxon's Malaysian oil production, they're going to sue us. They're going to sue the citizens. And Trump buried that. He said, no, I'm not signing it. Trash it. But Hillary was about to sign it.
And
Obama wanted to.
That set back a lot of the plans for. It's not about this Illuminati. It's not about the cabal. It's about one guy who works for an oil company who's sitting there going, they're going to do this TPP thing. This is great news for us. Tell the investors. Then Trump gets in and they're like, God, you know what, man, he just screwed us over.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you don't need grand conspiracies for these things to happen. You need a small handful of ultra wealthy elites, birds of a feather, flock together. They're not colluding or coordinating in some grand conspiracy. They have similar interests because they're leaders of industry, and free trade agreements benefit their companies. We can send more factories overseas. When Trump did that, he pissed them off at the same time. All of a sudden, they're donating money to super PACs against Trump. It looks coordinated, but it's actually called a standalone complex. Now, conspiracies exist too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there could be a guy at an oil company, and he calls up his other buddy at an oil company, and he's like, hey, we're getting screwed over here. Let's lobby against this, right? So things like that could absolutely happen. But you got to admit, when Trump got in smashing the TPP, that was like kicking the balls of all these big international corporations.
Well, some people are arguing that Obama wasn't going to sign it anyway. That's the counter argument to, of course, that claim. I see it a little bit differently, but I understand exactly where you're coming from because, and we don't even have to argue about this because whether your case is true or my case is true, whether it's people looking out for their interests or people colluding together and working together, it doesn't matter. The important fact to all agree on here is that they're doing it. And because they're doing it, this is screwing the average American over. It's giving them less freedom. It's giving them less economic opportunities. It's giving them less prosperity and sovereignty. And that's a serious issue that is getting completely out of hand, especially in our current way of life that is being threatened by a lot of these globalists that are taking advantage of this tragedy for their own personal benefit. So I don't even want to argue. I see it a little bit differently, but they're doing it, and we need to realize that before it's too late.
The end result, can't go into a building without your app. You've got to scan it. It tracks every place you go. You use it for everything. It's going to be for your buying stuff. I've already got on my phone the near field communications wallet. You just tap your phone to the thing.
That's crazy.
Then they're doing the vax passports everywhere. Cook County, the second largest county in the United States, has a vaccine mandate. This is not one city. This is like dozens of cities. A big city like Chicago and then all of these smaller suburbs are all under this mandate. A few of these suburbs have said, screw you, we will not enforce this. And some of them are just ignoring it outright. But I couldn't believe it when I heard that Cook County. This is the county that surrounds Chicago and the Chicagoland area. That's crazy to me. So your future is going to be, you don't got your phone on you or your battery died, you can't come in. Sorry. You're not being tracked with your tracking device. Sorry. You haven't given us all of your data so we know where and when you poop. Too bad.
That sounds discriminatory against people that don't have electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'll get the left argument. They'll be like, the left will come out and say
Obama phones.
Yeah, no, they'll say it's not discriminatory. It's just that we have to give everyone free phones. That's what they'll end up saying.
Let's preload some software on there and track.
Yep.
So this is inevitable. There's no way really to avoid it at this point.
No. I mean,
you don't think so?
You brought it up earlier. I think they're desperate. Look, I don't know if there was a grand plan for any of this. Like that, I was just saying, like people believe there was a grand plan for this. It's certainly true that they are working towards this now, but I think it's less this like overarching conspiracy among a global elite group like Alex Jones might say, and more so some Democrats went to China, saw how their totalitarian communist party system works and want that for themselves. It's clearly not an all-encompassing conspiracy because you have people like Ron DeSantis, you have people like Donald Trump. People like Donald Trump clearly disagrees with a lot of his own supporters. They even boo him sometimes, but he's certainly not in line with other establishment elites. I think you have a lot of wealthy individuals that lean Democratic that want a Chinese Communist Party style system in here, and they're working towards it. And then you have other billionaires. You have the Koch brothers that not necessarily involved in that, but maybe a little bit in some ways. Then you have the Mercers who oppose it. So it's not like all of the ultra elites are all in line together. It's just very powerful people with aligned interests will align their interests, not through a conspiracy necessarily, but just by doing similar things. And there's very few of them.
Davos is a conspiracy headquarters. That's where they get together.
People coming together and colluding for their own personal benefit. I think it's the definition of a conspiracy.
What about
conspiracy is criminal act?
What about?
Well, when you talk about
collude,
when you talk about what they've been doing, I don't know how else you could see it, but not criminal. To be honest, from my perspective.
No, I hear what you're saying.
I'll
put it this way. Typically the idea that makes people believe it's impossible is like there's 10 cabal members and they have a secret meeting where they come to the table and they say, how can we control the world? And they're like, mwahaha, and they write down in their secret book and they
turn
have a
up my shadow.
Typically when...
And then there's like occult ceremonies and mock child sacrifices and a whole bunch of other stuff. But sorry, go on.
No, but my point is often these meetings would seem banal, right? You'd see a guy in a suit walk up to another guy and be like, I haven't seen you in a few months. So look, we're going to be doing a big export from California to China, but we need this TPP, man. And they're going to be like, don't worry, we'll take care of it for you. We're going to put a bunch of money into this super PAC. And so if a regular person saw the meeting, they'd be like, what's wrong with it? It's just a business meeting among, people running companies. But when they have, look, I'll put it this way. If I were to tell you that a large group of ultra wealthy billionaire elites and princes and kings and politicians were meeting to discuss how they were going to control oil around the world, would you call that a conspiracy? In fact, they have these meetings all the time. They are just like Oil Gas Expo in Libya, and then all of the big companies show up and they walk in and get their name badge and they walk around shaking hands. Oh, Jim, yeah, with Exxon. Nice to meet you. And they sign up the forms like, well, if a regular person saw these things, they would not think it's a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. When I was in Brazil, I went to a weapons expo. There were generals, there were high-ranking military officials, pilots, there were politicians. I watched one guy walk around with a bunch of bodyguards, in suits, and they're armed. It's not a conspiracy. It's a convention. But all of these government elites are there colluding on the best weapons for suppressing dissent. Now, if I told you princes, kings, world leaders, and billionaires were meeting to discuss the production of weapons to suppress dissent around the world, people would be like, that's a crazy conspiracy. It was a convention. It was called the Latin American Aerospace Defense Convention or something. Like, I went there and walked around and I saw all of these people there having meetings, having lunch, cracking open champagne. That's the conspiracy that's happening in plain sight. But regular people, when they hear this, they think it's impossible because they imagine it like a creepy cabal underground going, mwahaha, instead of business.
Well, to be fair, there is an aspect of it. And for the average person hearing it, they're kind of like, wait, what's going on here? And for some people, it scares them away. For some people, it's like, okay, wait, let's really look into this. And it kind of awakens them. So there's different strategies out there. But when you look into stuff like the Bohemian Grove and spirit cooking and literally very powerful people taking blood and writing messages on the walls with human excrement and other feces and other horrible things to talk with interdimensional species. That's a bunch of weird stuff that has been documented, has been happening going along with a lot of powerful people. So there is an element of that, but it loses some people, and some people are like, wait, that's too crazy. I can't believe that. And it shatters their worldview, and automatically they kind of shut off and they put up their blinders.
Right.
Some people, though, are like, wait, probably with the way my life's been going, with the way I've been screwed over with taxes, with the way I've been screwed over by my boss and having this horrible office job and been grinding through this entire machine, probably. So there's two perspectives, and I think both are relevant.
I think when it comes to discussing powerful interests, global elites, bankers, military and stuff, when you get into the weird occult stuff that a lot of them do, that's when you'll lose regular people. Mm-hmm, because yes. I don't think it's, look, if you come to me and you're like, did you know that these powerful elites meet in a place called Bohemian Grove or whatever? I'd be like, bro, I have no idea what that has to do with my life and why I can't get a good job that pays me well. But if you go and say, did you know the government printed something like 40% of all US dollars in the past year, which has devalued your purchasing power? I'll put it this way. Because of what the Fed has done and what the politicians have done, all the money in your bank account was cut in half. Huh. And people are going to be like, what, why, how, what? That speaks to people. And then you can start getting into, here's why they do it, here's what they've been doing, and here's a book about a place called Jekyll Island.
Mm. And then sometimes people like Ghislaine come across that are so reprehensible that people care about their weirdness.
How amazing that they were like, we're going to charge her with trafficking, convict her of trafficking, to no one.
That's it.
Yeah. She was convicted of trafficking children to no one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She was running an illegal business with a lot of customers. The customers who participated in this illegal business, who paid for her to be a part of this illegal business, who made this illegal business possible.
No, look, that must be wrong. If there were people who were engaged in this business with her and paying her to do it, certainly they would have been criminally charged and prosecuted.
All right.
And considering they haven't been, she must have just been standing there offering up trafficking people, and then they arrested her for it. There certainly must have been no real customers to what her and Epstein were doing.
Yeah, no powerful clients at all.
That's the logical.
Ian makes a good point. When you want to talk to people about really how crazy things get, eventually you will get a story like Epstein where it's true. We know it's true. The evidence is out. And they even convicted Ghislaine. She's guilty. And now people are like, what about the rest of them? All the people who were flying on that plane and going there. And then you can be like, conspiracies do happen. And here's one. So I'll tell you this. I'm not a big fan of most conspiracies because a lot of people connect dots that shouldn't be connected. That's the problem. However, if there's ever something you truly believe and someone's a skeptic, you can just be like, I may be wrong, but Epstein.
Yeah.
And they'll go, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should, consider, I don't know everything.
The Klaus Schwab thing is kind of, I don't even know if does he even land in a conspiracy world right now?
Absolutely,
He's blatantly
yeah.
said he
Well.
wants to create a corporate government collusive
That's
Bill
form
Gates.
of global governance. He's worth $0.95 million. Klaus Schwab's net worth is under $1 million. He's the head of the Economic Forum leading the global change in global economics, and he's supposedly worth less than $1 million according to NCERTpoint.com.
Ian, there's a lot of money laundering, and the people who have a lot of money are not on the Forbes top money list.
Right.
They hide it in assets, they hide it in stocks, they hide it in commodities. They're able to, of course, transfer their wealth in ways that, of course, are not seen.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.